Hillary wanted to put up wind. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay? You know, the thing makes it so, and of course, it's like a graveyard for birds.
Trump is mad about windmills again. That is the headline. On Truth Social, Trump posted, "The UK is making a very big mistake. Open up the North Sea, get rid of windmills." Okay, basically, Trump is mad because a Texas oil company called Apache announced that it will no longer be drilling in the North Sea due to the UK's windfall tax. The windfall tax they're referring to is the UK's energy profits levy, which places an additional tax on company profits on oil and gas extracted from the UK. So at first, it sounds like Trump maybe mistook the word windfall for windmills, but let's be fair. According to Reuters, the North Sea is one of the world's oldest offshore oil and gas basins, where production has steadily declined since the start of the millennium. At the same time, it has become one of the world's largest offshore wind regions. And this is in line with what the new Labor government would like to see happen. The latest prime minister, Keir Starmer, is hoping to quadruple wind generation capacity by 2030 as part of an overall push to build a low carbon economy and improve air quality overall. Trump, who continually downplays the global effects of man-made climate change because it interferes with corporate profits, greets these British windmills as an old nemesis. Back in 2015, he waged war against Scotland unsuccessfully because Scotland wanted to build a wind farm near one of Trump's golf courses. Trump said that the wind turbines would ruin the view from his golf course. The fallout from the dispute, coupled with Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric, led to the then prime minister calling Trump stupid, saying, quote, "If he came to visit our country, I think he'd unite us all against him." There was also a petition calling for him to be banned from the UK altogether. By the way, Trump says windmills very often, but usually what he's talking about is wind turbines. And he has already said that he would kill offshore wind energy development on day one of his second term. So Trump and these windmills, it's always funny to me, but it's also concerning that it never goes away. And I don't trust things that don't go away. It's like he may not get his way this time, but there's always a next time. And he's always sitting there waiting for that next time. But this all comes on the heels of the story I think they covered in the first hour with Elon Musk suggesting that the King of England, King Charles III, should dissolve parliament and trigger an election. The Brits don't seem too thrilled that this American president and Elon Musk, whatever he is, are attempting to interfere in their country in one way or another. Sharon, what do you make of Trump and his obsession with windmills?
Windmills, wind turbines. I think he should invade the UK, just like he said he was going to do with Panama. and
Canada.
Yes, and Canada. This is true. Just do whatever he wants to do with it. It's his list of what he's going to do day one is so long. Okay, we know he doesn't like to work that many hours, and there's not enough Diet Coke to go around to get done everything he's planning to do on day one. Okay, so I think we got to ignore some of this. And I know that sounds weird when you're talking about the supposed leader of the free world, but when he says really nutty, stupid things, I think we just have to take a step back and decide how much energy we're going to throw back at it.
I think it would actually be hilarious if Trump suggested making England the 52nd state of the United States, just because of our obvious history with that particular country. But Mark, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, that's probably good advice to ignore a lot of this. But this goes back, this particular story, to what you were talking about. Trump's got an axe to grind because of these wind turbines that were within eyeshot of his golf course in Scotland. And Scotland has an interesting relationship with the North Sea because when they discovered North Sea oil there was so much of it that the Scots thought this is an opportunity actually for us to have economic independence and actually break off. They had a secession vote, break away from the UK, so from England. So you end up with, and of course, obviously that was not successful, but you end up now with the story that they are building wind farms on such a level that could really be an engine of change in Scotland. And I'm excited by that kind of thing. And I love that story actually touches on all the different things that it can do. I mean, it can produce power. It reduces emissions. I mean, just air quality improves. There are a lot of real world benefits to all of this. But Trump cares about none of this because Trump really cares about nothing. He cares about, as I say, the thing that he remembers, which is that he had that issue with those wind turbines that you could see from his golf course. And so now it's become his little jihad when it comes to England. I promise, and the UK just generally, I promise that on some level they are adopting Sharon's view, which is ignore them, ignore him, and ignore all of his remarks pertaining to this.
Yeah, well, I mean, like he says these incredible, bizarre things because he is constantly appealing to the lowest common denominator. But there's always a reason behind why he's saying these things. There's a reason why he goes to his rallies and says to all of his Trump rally goers, "What's with these windmills? They sound terrible. They cause cancer. They're terrible for the birds." Since when does Trump care about dead birds? I don't know, but it's a big problem for him. But he says these things because he wants people to be like, yeah, we also hate windmills. Windmills suck. Let's get rid of all of them. They're ugly. They sound bad, whatever. I feel funny whenever, like my tummy feels weird whenever I'm near a windmill, whatever. But the reason why he's doing it is because, he wants that business. He wants that oil and gas. He's the guy who took however much money he took from the oil and gas lobbyists while he was running for president. And then he immediately, whoever he gets money from, that's where his policies go, right? He's very
he said as
viable.
much. He said remember when he had that was that a dinner, I guess, in which there were a bunch of oil company executives from different companies. And he said, guys, write the check and you can write the legislation too. $1 billion gets you whatever legislation you want. He literally said that.
Yeah,
Very
like
honest
he
guy.
did. I remember that. I covered that story when it first came out. It was like unbelievable, but at the same time, it's like that's who he's always been. He's just saying it out loud. And why are we shocked when he just says the things out loud that we already know to be true? And especially with Scotland, I do feel for Scotland. I love Scotland. I've been there a few times, and it's gorgeous, and they have all the like such natural beauty that you really like. It's rare to find in places around the world anymore. But they're cutting down the trees in Scotland too. And I know that it's really hurting a lot of the locals there, and they would like to see that stop happening because that's so much of their culture is that land. And, I get really sad whenever trees are cut down, and I would love to see more renewable sources, but I'm just like a bleeding heart leftist after all. So, what do I
Were you an
what do I
ambassador
know?
to Scotland? Yes. I feel like that's maybe the other thing that you've been holding out on your resume. If you can say it, when you said I was in Scotland, is that what you were doing?
What
You
was
were
I
acting as
doing?
U.S. ambassador. You had some.
I could be.
hell?
I loved it over there. It was so much fun. I've been all over Scotland. I got engaged in Scotland. So
Wow.
and then
Yeah.
I
Special
went up to the
meaning.
Highlands, and I had a tour, and the guy was like 6'7" or something like that. And he was
Wow.
telling us about the giants in Scotland and the Vikings. And I was like, which one are you? Are you part giant?
I studied at Stirling University in Stirling, Scotland, and
Cute.
I walked through the Highlands. The Yaz is mentioning is this area where there's just sheep and
Wow.
winding roads. And I walked because I had no money, so I'm hitchhiking and no one's stopping. And to be fair, it's hard to stop there because there are these blind curves. So if you just stop, like you could somebody come up behind you and hit you. So I must have walked, I don't know, 7 miles. It was getting
Wow.
dark and cold. And I remember just being desperate for a ride because I was trying to walk to the ferry for to the Isle of Skye. So I love Scotland as well. And you're right. It's this green, beautiful place. And it would be great if it got greener and more beautiful.
It is pristine. But the Scottish people have been fighting Trump for a lot longer than even we have been here in the United States. And I remember when he really upset most of the UK, and when he made his anti-immigrant comments that I mentioned earlier, that was when it was, I think 2015, I said. So that was during his first run for presidency. And he was saying all these things like we shouldn't let Muslim people into this country, and like some other things he had said about Mexican people not coming into the country. And it was so shocking back then that all of the UK was like, what's with this guy? And they signed a petition to not let him ever come into the UK ever again. Of course, that didn't happen, but there was a lot of public support to just ban Donald Trump from the UK altogether. But of course, he's got to build his golf courses. And I think Aberdeenshire is where he has one. So
thanks for watching The Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.